Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I've been doing this intentionally, don't get me wrong. I knew that this album was getting a lot of hype. Somehow you guys have put this on the same level as The Way It Ends. I don't know how that's going to be possible, because I would have to say that Currents are probably my go-to band at the moment. I have not stopped listening to that album. I've actually gone back to The Death We Seek, which is their most recent single, which I wasn't the biggest fan of after hearing The Way It Ends, and that's grown on me so much. You guys hyped the hell out of this one, and I have been, I've been intentionally leaving it for a little bit longer to build that hype, and I've also just been like, I've gotten to that point with The Way It Ends where I've actually overplayed it. There's a lot of the tracks on there now that I'm kind of like sick of, which is just how you know it's an S tier album. It is finally the day that we are getting around to Currents, The Place I Feel Safest.
The final product of your mistakes, another life laid to waste.
Already, it just has that sound that I love about this band. Dark lyrics already. Okay, strong intro. Again, I know there's probably a lot of that's going to go like over my head first listen, because it happens so much with The Way It Ends, but that had a lot of elements that I can fuck with, easy to move with. We'll just keep rolling for now.
With so long, the path I know is gone. My taste is pain, it's a
My mix is always so loud. That's why it can kind of be a bit daunting first listen sometimes.
From the start, I see right through everything you hate in me. Will blow right back on you. And it's taking over all of me. And there goes all the progress that I've made. It's taking over all of me. And there goes my progress. I'll never leave. Pull me away from my path.
Yeah, I can feel it. It's gonna get me.
I can't stop the shaking and can't stand the sight of my pain. Can't stop this pain. Can't stop this pain. My taste is pain. It's a fucking wake up. Stay up, time to shit off and forget it. My mind is stuck. I break the worst out within myself. There's so many nights I've been kept up that I've had enough. Don't tell me.
You know exactly what I'm thinking about these moments. You know I'm thinking about that whole vibe. I can't help but think because Vojjarta was the kind of first band that got me into this Thal sound, and that's just like trademark Thal, like the atmospheric, ambience, eerie background. Like it just creates so much more space in the mix, and then the like all the crazy like harmonic noises and the scrapey sounds that are just going on with the guitar. It's so technical, so goddamn good. Creates just like, it's such a, what's the word? I can't even think of it right now, but it's, I was trying not to say it, I was holding off. Humanity's Last Breath, Vojjarta, it's so, it just reminds me of that so much, and I'll always compare that sound to Vojjarta because they did coin that term Thal.
Burn it down and forget. When I was trying to hide, so assassinate, but I just can't find release. For all the pain in my heart and the ache it causes me, will I bleed out for the people who've forgotten me? It's time to say what rests in my mind. Ever since I fell to pieces, I never felt so alive. Now I find you there, staring at the edge of the sun. You're trying to get to safety, but you're losing light. This is a force to know I can't fight. Cause if you're getting knocked out, gonna make me sleep tonight. I hope you scream when you hear my name. There's no place on this earth that you can't escape. I hope you're lost and you never find me. This is the way of the world and I won't. I'll never let this crash on me. Yeah, just another soul to steal. Fucking burn it down. Don't leave a trace of evil left in this house. Burn it down, fucking burn it down. Don't leave a trace of evil left in this house. It's the only way. Burn it down and hope for peace. If I ignite it, maybe death will finally save me.
How are they still going?
To fix this other part of me, but there's no way that I can breathe without release. Please let me sleep. I'm so happy.
Oh, I have goosebumps. Yeah. Why can I never get it to focus on my arm? Oh, that was so nostalgic. that swelling guitar was what track is that off the way it ends? I scream. It's Better Days, is it? No, not Better Days. It's Let Me Leave. The way that swells into that outro. Yeah. All right. Getting very creative with the effects on this. Oh, I don't think I've ever heard anything like that. Like accent in every... It's just...
There's nothing we can be. There's no way to trust you. There's no way to save you. I won't play the victim just cause you. Take everything to heart. Take his word, I'll say it terrified. I don't let these mess, I take watch every move I make. Take everything to heart. Take his word, I'll say it terrified. I don't let these mess, I take watch every move I make. I am a ghost that you can walk away. So make the most out of all
just doesn't stop. That is relentlessly good. Okay, let's get back into it.
I can't even remember the first time you let me down this road. Fuck. I never once in my life thought I could ever feel much lower than this. This book is open. I try to pour my thoughts out on these pages, but my will is broken. The fear is setting in. I can give you everything you need, but I think the motivation's leaving me. Every day is the same dark feeling. Time's bleeding, anger's leaving me. It's getting harder to relate and relate. This road is pulling away from what I want, but that's okay. Some things are easy to me. I'd rather feel instead and wish. So why would I quit? So why would I quit? Yeah! Maybe indecisiveness is the winner.
That's like an After the Burial riff.
And I think I'm losing all control. This old fire that I pride myself for always holding inside. It's time to stop second guessing every single thought. I think I've lost.
Well, that came in very unexpectedly.
Scraping the bottom of the fucking barrel from the sun. How could I be so pathetic? Every day is the same dark feeling. Time's bleeding, anger's leaving me. It's getting harder to relate and relate. This road is pulling away from what I want, but that's okay. Some things are easy to me. I'd rather feel instead. It's like the answer's right in front of me. The answer's there in front of me. Every day is the same dark feeling. Time's bleeding, anger's leaving me. It's getting harder to relate and relate. This road is rolling away from what I want, but that's okay. I'd rather feel than sit and wish. It's like the answer's right in front of me. The answer's there in front of me.
I'm really just sitting and observing this album right now, lads. Because I know it's going to grow on me so much. It feels like it's S tier. The comparison I'll make very quickly between this and... I know we're not finished yet, but from what I've heard so far is this is heavier. This is a bigger album from a riff perspective, but I think the feeling, the overall feel of the album, whether it be from the atmosphere created and like the, you know, the intentional background ambience that's created, paired with the melody and the vocals, is definitely more prominent on the way it ends, whereas this feels more of like a slamming album with unbelievable riffs. So I'm kind of just taking all that in, and obviously if I get some melody along the way, I'm going to be very happy. But so far it's a phenomenal album. Let's be honest, let's call it what it is. Not as much melody so far. There's been one or two tracks that I know are going to probably, like, you know, get me a little bit, but nothing that's like caught me as much as it did in the first listen as some of the tracks off of actually, to be fair, Monsters, for example, like, is just like on repeat. It went from Better Days for me, like spamming Better Days. I couldn't stop listening to that track because that was the track that really caught me in the initial, like, you know, first listen for the video that I did for YouTube. And then I kind of had spoken about Monsters and how that was kind of catching on for me. But Monsters only really started to get much better over, you know, a few more listens. So probably going to be the same for a few of the melodic choruses we've had, like the one or two choruses that we've had that are, you know, on the more melodic side in this album. So that's why I'm kind of reluctant to just say too much right now. I do just want to take it in because, like I said, I'm fanboying hard here because, you know, it's like, I feel like I'm gonna fucking love this album going forward as well. I'm trying not to like be over fanboy because I do the same thing. If I'm like not that big on a band, I'll go in and like be over, like almost kind of overcritical. So I'm trying like to not be over fanboying as well, but I'm gonna call it like I see it. So far, this album is probably one-upping the riffage on The Way It Ends, but The Way It Ends is probably, you know, so far is outdoing it on the melody side. This is Dreamer. Well, they're going with the After the Burial sound again. Oh. Cause when it does, it'll swallow you. I feel the burning control. Gracious, and you're out of your mind. Always coming on a face that'll leave you alive. This is the best. Everything is a test. Everything is a test. You don't know who you're talking to. I'll destroy your life and blame it on you. You think it says you're dead without me, so I can. You don't understand. I'm stepping back from what I know is the truth. I just don't feel the way I used to. I'd turn my back if you would follow me. We could just run away. We could just run away. Felt like a weak enough chorus, I'm not gonna lie. But then again, who knows? Let them promise you the world, but don't you take it. Cause when you give them what they ask, they'll turn their backs. It's a sham! A sham! A sham! It's all a fucking sham! Turn away and run from this as fast as you can. A sham! A sham! It's all a fucking sham! Don't let them force you to become it. Let me hear this chorus again. Is it gonna hit harder? Yeah, that's gonna hit. I need a few more listens to that, but yeah, that's a huge chorus. I love that chorus, like lifting and lifting, keeps going. Yeah, see, it's weird because I have a confliction at the moment because I am really into it. But I feel like I'm not really portraying that. Not that it really matters that I'm like getting it across, but this is going to be one of them albums I need to listen to a few times. Like definitely listen to a few times because the way it ends kind of hit a little bit more instantly because it was kind of unique to me. It was new. Whereas now I kind of recognize the sound. So it's like familiar to me, but I'm also trying to like kind of process the small differences and like the, you know, just even obviously, I don't know how many years apart these albums are, like a few years, whatever. So obviously they've had time to progress and change their style slightly. And like I said, there is that difference. This track felt like the biggest chorus from a melodic standpoint, a really like hooky chorus. So I could already feel it. It's going to be good, but it's one of them like similar to a lot of the choruses on the way it ends. They don't like, some of them were kind of like clicking with me, but like compared to how much I listen to them now and how much I'm like literally singing along to them like in my own head and, you know, when I'm in the shower and that kind of thing. Like I'm hooked on the album, whether it be the big breakdowns, just the old atmosphere of the album. But it wasn't like that in first listen. I needed a good few listens to get there, and this feels much the same. But it's slightly different again because, you know, I feel like I'm not really getting that across at the moment. You know, it's just kind of like I'm sitting here and just analysing really. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. But this is the title track of the album, The Place I Feel Safest. So let's check this one out.
Don't do justice to work and dates. This feeling I can shake that I can't be heard. Why does this darkness feel so familiar? As I begin to breathe, are you awake? to justice to work a date.
This feels like better days.
Feeling I can shake that I can't be heard. Why does this darkness feel so familiar? I want it back.
No, it's not. It's
I miss the blood of our skin.
feels like the build up to the death we seek.
I want it back. I want it back. And I want it back.
I can shake, I can shake, I can shake this. Far away from the place I feel safest. I'm reaching out as I watch you leave. You're abandoning me, you're abandoning me.
I can shake, I can shake, I can shake this. Far away from the place I feel safest. I'm reaching out as I watch you leave. You're abandoning me, you're abandoning me. You can't undo every word you muttered out of turn. You've been conditioned to hate. Some things can't be unlearned. You're condemned to fit to be misled. This can't be dead. This can't be dead.
It's so weird because I know I really like this and I know I'm really gonna like it, but right now it's like not like hitting me that hard. But I know deep down it will. It's the weirdest thing ever. I can't even describe it. It's like I said, because it has so many of the elements that I love about the way it ends, but it's because it's not like, I haven't had enough time with it yet.
I start to feel the weight of everything beneath me. It seems like day to day I'm waiting for the next mistake to
Like, how could I not like this?
makes me think I'm everything up. 'Cause for everything I do, I'm for nothing but unloved. Sometimes I feel like it's just never enough. It's never enough.
My hands just freeze. Shake the snow from the trees. Don't fill this up unless you're planning to live.
Oh, that sounds insane.
I never saw this coming. I'll take my chances and running. I don't need tension for release.
The next time I pour myself there, pull me out from the right.
That is getting turned up.
I can take more of this, pushing constantly until my last breath. There's no time to by myself, not a second of there. There's not a moment to spare, and I'm screaming out my lungs, screaming out when no one's there. Careless,
Okay, too loud.
how did you miss the best in time when it's hiding in the shadows of spineless giants? It feels so out of reach. Jealous, sightless. How many times will you die before your death in your head? This is lifeless. Defiant, I feel a life left incomplete. As time moves so steadily, it's making a fool out of me. I'm done depending. I'm on my own now. I am on my own. I can't be disappointed. I'm expecting gold from a stone. I'm on my own now. I am on my own. I can't have faith in you. It's getting old.
We're just a step away from drowning in our dreams. Can't think of the last time that we were steady. I know right where our path is headed. But if this is forever, I'll take you right into my grave.
The next time I pour myself there, I'm from the right. Because I don't think I can take more of this. Pushing constantly until my last breath. There's no time to by myself, not a second of there. There's not a moment to spare, and I'm screaming out my lungs, screaming out, but no one's there. Careless, careless. How did you miss the best in time when it's hiding in the shadows of spineless giants? It feels so out of reach. Jealous, sightless. How many times will you die before your death in your head? This is lifeless. Defiant, I feel a life left incomplete. I try so hard to make these parallels me. The illusion of control always follows me. I'm holding on to dreams. I
Ah! Yes! Okay, let's fucking go. Come on. That last outro riff got me hyped now.
My friend, your will is weak. I know one day you'll be scared of me. My problem is you don't understand that this is how I run to live my life instead. You and me, we are exactly the same.
I like the energy of this track.
Always said it's the second best. I always thought it was a test, but it's a matter of respect. And you have none for me. You rather see me fail than have me under your wing. You're with the man I could never be. Why'd you leave so suddenly? Every second so lost, I felt you the same. Compassion's gone for me, no more settling. Somehow I still feel so broken. I'm the side of myself in the edge. You'll never let me go and never let me in. You won't break me. This is the worst. All the effort is not free. You don't care about anything I need. Living your pattern is my best memory. I know one day you'll see what I say.
Yeah, this track has been boiling nicely from the start.
I know one day you'll see what I say. I know one day you'll resent what you've come to be. You were the man I would
Oh yeah, yeah.
Why'd you leave so suddenly? You were the man I would never be. Why'd you leave so suddenly? Every second so lost, I felt you the same.
They got me.
Passion's gone for me, no more settling. Somehow I still feel so broken. I'm the side of myself in the edge. You'll never let me go and never let me live. You've mistaken my love for a weakness. I won't let you just take advantage of my heart. You've mistaken my love for
I would definitely say that their chorus writing has gotten better. A lot better.
advantage of my heart. Have we mistaken our pride for our progress? Do we accept and learn from mistakes? I won't be
Or their melody writing, melodic writing, I guess.
right. You can push me off day after day, but don't expect me to stay. You've mistaken my love for a weakness.
There's not one weak link in this band. Like everything sits so nicely in the mix.
Forsaken.
I told you it was boiling. That's huge. Wow. Whoa! Okay, right. We have definitely stepped up a level or two over the last 3 tracks now. But yeah, what I was saying is, right, like, I know this album did come first, so naturally you'd like to think there'd be some progression. And I can feel the progression having gone backwards. Like, it's still very good, don't get me wrong, and I hear a lot of the elements, you know, within the guitar writing and that kind of thing that I really love about the way it ends, but I feel like they've maybe stayed the same. I would argue they've gotten better, but the breakdowns feel a lot heavier in this, but I think they've leveled up massively with their ability to write, you know, catchy hooks. Now, again, the thing about melody is it's always really hard to gauge early, and I keep going back to this, but I have a good idea when I first hear a chorus whether or not it's going to be something that will pull me in. Like I said with Monsters, when I first heard it, I was like, this will get me, like this one's big. There hasn't been that same effect with any of the melody on this. There's been like one or two, maybe like one that's been like, okay, right, yeah, maybe this one, but it's still like I'm uncertain. But so it's just like, I don't know, it feels like the currents that I, you know, have gotten to know over the last few weeks, but maybe with some of the elements stripped back from it. Now, again, it's a first listen. It's always very hard to gauge, but this is just how I'm feeling at the moment. So I'm trying to just like get that across from a first listen standpoint. But yeah, it feels like everything maybe like better in some parts. Like I think some of the breakdowns have been ridiculously heavy, ridiculously crazy. Has all that like Thal, Viljarta, Humanity's Last Breath sound, like almost more implemented into this album than it did in The Way It Ends. But I think The Way It Ends massively trumps it from like the melody side, and like the less of the wow factor and more just like a musical spectacle. It just feels like it feels so well rounded in every single aspect on a lot of the tracks. Like I'd say like 95% of the tracks, 90% of the tracks on that album are like flawless tracks, whereas this, not to say that they're not flawless, it's just not having the same grasping effect on me right now, because it did take a few days, a few playthroughs to get me to really love The Way It Ends. But I digress. Let's keep going.
You felt the slow motion train. You knew the consequence and quit to a refrain. What's the difference of past of the flesh? You say on her death. It should be arrows you're breathing. You felt the slow motion train. You knew the consequence and quit to a refrain.
I also haven't had a chance to like properly delve into the lyrics out here. There's so much going on.
Feel something changing me. You made your bed and we shut out in ignorance. Living in excess, only to be surprised. To be surprised is how fast your life can turn around. You try to run but it's too late to take it back now. You think you've seen it all. You think you've seen it all. You're just in time to watch the whole thing fall. You think you've seen it all. You think you've seen it all. You're just in time to take the fall. The final product of your mistakes. The dream is dead, another life laid to waste. The final product of your mistakes. Another life laid to waste. You felt the slow motion train. You knew the consequence and quit back to a refrain. What's the difference of past of the flesh?
That's so good.
It should be arrows you're breathing. You rush in the same while you stop all the rest. Somehow they're so close to your heart. And you say that you weren't involved in this way things ended up. It's just never enough. Now you're left to wander, finding no solace inside a broken world. You're subject to your destiny. I will let you get the best of me. You're subject to
The pig squeal. What?
To say that that's the way things ended up, it's never enough. I bet it's hard to be a father when you're always out shooting up. If you ask me, I'm discuss this. I would saving you're a subject to
Best track. I'm bringing it back.
the final product of your mistakes. The dream is dead, another life laid to waste. The final product of your mistakes. Another life laid to waste. If this is how you wanna live your life, then understand that you will survive. To see a second of
The curse of the commentator exists, lads, and you can't tell me otherwise. I have done that so many times where I start to give my feedback on an album, and it may not always be positive. Not that that was even negative, but it just wasn't necessarily massively positive. And then that happens. Like, what was that? Like, I'm bringing that one back, and we're just going to listen to that entire track again. Let's just do it again, because there was a lot to take in there. Like, the last 3 tracks have really upped it, so, like, I may have to eat my words. Like, they've just massively upped the intensity, upped the ante. The back and forth, although I don't massively love this part, the back and forth between the vocals. It's like they're passing the ball to each other. How does it keep? The momentum in this track is ridiculous. Like, it just keeps fucking pushing. Wow. Fuck my glasses up. That's an outrage. That's best track in the album. Best track in the album without a shadow of a doubt. I think it needs a bit of this cleans. Definitely a lot more clean guitar segments in the way it ends as well.
not waiting for you. I can't see the future, but I refuse to stay on my knees. So I'm not waiting for you. It's up to us to change the problems we say. It's on me, it's on me, it's on me. I can't see the future, but I refuse to stay on my knees. So I'm not waiting for you. It's on me, it's on me. It's up to us to change the problems we say. That sinking feeling in my head. This planet slow and painful death. I try to put it all in perspective.
My body's like just still naturally moving from that last part. I'm just like,
And we just sat there and we let it tear to bits.
obligatory solo. It's got to be done. It has got to be done. It's the first solo on the album. That drumming's so fun.
The only thing I want is peace. I feel as a shame. I got these sad thoughts and all they do is replay. There's no way this is who I'm meant to be.
Last track.
My mind to be released. I want my demons abandoned.
Their riffs are always so flawless, man. It's just like, it's almost kind of like watered down because every riff's so good. What am I listening to? My brain can't handle what's going on. There's so much to process. And now we got cleans. And I know how good their outros are.
For once I'd love to smile, and for once to finally mean it. I don't want to have to lie. It's always loving, it's always there, always going, ever present in my nightmares. It's always loving, another year, crying through me, it's gonna right there somewhere. It's not fair to have to live this way. I see people showing it up, but it consumes and corrupts me. I'm fucking begging on my hands and knees. It should be long released. Why would you keep that from me? I feel the cold winds on my back. The shackles have been released. Let me out into the world, 'cause all I ever want is to be free. I hear the sky calling out my name. You may be you, but I'm not me. Let me out into the world, deliberately. I feel the cold winds on my back. The shackles have been released. Let me out into the world, 'cause all I ever want is to be free. I never wanted to live like this, separated from all the rest. But that's just who I am, and I can never lose all again.
This actually makes me very excited for their next album. The fact that they're probably going to have one out pretty soon is so exciting to me, because obviously I've only gotten into the band and listened to The Way It Ends, and then love that so much. People said, Drew, they just released a single, so I obviously have to jump on that. But it makes me very excited to be a part of the metalcore scene right now, being that I can actually react to this album when it does eventually drop. I know they've only dropped one single for it so far, but that single took a few listens to me, and it was even the weird thing about that single was, right, and I know I'll get to this album in a second, but I'm just trying to kind of lead up to a point. That single, I wasn't even listening to it actively. It's just one day I was walking along and I kind of remembered the melody to the anime of it, and I was like, what song is that again? And I was like, what? I was like, why do I know that song, but I don't actually know what song it is? So I thought to myself, kind of played it over a few more times ahead, and I was like, that is Current's new song. And I was like, that didn't click with me at all when I first listened to it. First few listens, I kind of just forgot about it, and it's tracks like that really do it for me, and that's why I loved The Way It Ends. This album, to compare all of that, is don't get me wrong, the second half of the album actually felt a lot bigger than the first half. I don't know if it was just got into the flow a little bit more, but my god, some of the breakdowns, some of the riffage in that felt a lot bigger than The Way It Ends. So I think I was, naturally comparing the two, because they're only, two bodies of work that I've heard from the band. You can definitely tell if I wasn't to know which album came first, I would definitely, I would like to think I'd point at this coming first, and their sound has progressed into, what it is today. I think they've really nailed down the writing of melody. I think that's the main takeaway from this, is that for me, although I do love their their guitar writing, the instrumentals are insane on this, that goes without saying. The atmosphere that they create is insane. The writing as well is something that I want to kind of look into in my own time as well, which is why it can be very hard when an album is so lyric heavy, and you can tell there's a story going on. I didn't really get too much into it because there was so much else going on, but it can be quite distracting, because you're kind of half keeping up with what he's talking about, and you're trying to make a mental note of what's actually this whole song is about. So sometimes the music videos can be a throw off, but equally having the lyrics on screen can sometimes be a throw off when you're actively listening for the first time. So maybe, I don't know, I don't know which way to go forward doing it, because sometimes when songs aren't as intense and they're maybe a little bit slower, it's nice to have the lyrics on screen because you can kind of keep up. But when there's so much chaos going on in the mix, it can be very hard. So key takeaways from this is that I'm going to need to listen to this a good few more times to really grasp, which tracks are catching on. I don't think there's any skip tracks in this, put it that way. Everything was huge. There was never a moment where I felt bored listening to the album. There was so much punchy, heavy written riffs, but I think The Way It Ends is more up my street, which is why I'm more excited, because if it had been the other way around, where it was The Way It Ends and then this album, I wouldn't be worried. Trust me, I wouldn't be like, oh no. I'm sure whatever they bring up next would be fine. But the fact that they've kind of like gone down a more melodic route, and that's why I bring up the Death We Seek, because the fact that they're still on that melodic route, and the fact that I maybe didn't like it as much first listen as, you know, having coming straight from The Way It Ends. But that day when I was sitting there and I was like, what track is that? The fact that that melody just brought me back in, and now I'm listening to that and I'm just loving all the other elements, like the harmonic like breakdown at the very start of the track. That huge atmospheric sound is so beautiful. So Currents is a band that it's probably the most anticipated album I'll have coming out over the next year, just because they do everything that I love from a band. Like lately it's been Viljarta, all these tall bands, you know, Humanity's Last Breath. I believe this alt band that you guys keep suggesting are insane as well, and apparently I'm going to love them. So again, I don't want to overhype it because that can lead to disappointments, you know, from a first listen, because generally if you guys are hyping it up, I'll eventually come around to it. But from a first listen, it can be sometimes disappointing, which is why this album as well, I was kind of getting a little bit like, almost like, why haven't I loving this right now? You know, one of them. So it can be a little bit weird. Like if I was listening to this by myself, obviously it's just kind of like, but when you're almost, I know you guys are probably like anticipating this because I've seen the comments where it's like, oh, Drew's going to love this. Drew's going to love this if he loved The Way It Ends. And trust me, that's why I kept saying it as well. It's like, I know at some point I'll come around to this, but right now, The Way It Ends just feels that level up, which I'd like to think that it would be, being at that, you know, they've had a few years to, you know, craft their sound. But like I said, going all the way back around, I'm so excited to hear their next project that they have. Like, I don't know if there's been any like official release date, but they'll probably have like 1 or 2 more singles, I'd imagine. You know, one single's probably not enough to kind of start promoting it, but who knows? You guys will have to fill me in the comment section down below. I only started following them on Instagram like pretty much after I listened to The Way It Ends, so I haven't really been keeping in the loop with what they're up to. So time will tell, guys. But if I had to put a rating on this one right now, like I feel like this is probably gonna, like, this feels again like S tier metalcore. Like it just, all elements that they're attacking from, apart from maybe the melody, that writing side of things didn't grab me as much. Like I didn't feel like that was S tier. I'd still put it very high, like kind of like B, like, but like overall, man, it's hard to fault some of those breakdowns. Like I literally had the blankie on my head. Like it's been a while since the blankie's been on my head for a track. So that, what track was that came on? That shit blew me away. That was Another Life, which was the standout track for me. Like, I mean, I don't think I even need to say that for you guys to be like, what was your standout track, Drew? Like the reaction probably spoke for itself, but I think that was the standout for me. So yeah, I mean, I will see how this one sits over time, and you know, I'm hoping that it will grow me as much as The Way It Ends, or even as quickly as The Way It Ends did. But like I keep saying, time will tell, lads. Rating wise, I'll say now, I'm gonna say like an 8.4. Okay, right? Maybe like an 8.4. I think that's like an easy like 9.5 if we get, you know, melody that creeps in on me more. So it could go up over time, because maybe some of that melody in some of the tracks that I pointed out will start to reel me in. And like, you know, obviously with time, reading the lyrics, I think I've seen that you guys said it's quite important to pay attention to the lyrics, but there's only so much one man can do when you're trying to like listen to a track for the first time, and, you know, do all this you know, interaction with you guys as well. It's there's a lot going on. So obviously over time I'll give it more of a listen, but I think right now an 8.4, 8.3 is probably where I'm sitting. So I think that's a fair rating. It's absolutely insane metalcore, but again, excited for the future, lads. So yeah, look, I'm not gonna keep waffling on here. I've said enough. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm signing out. Look after yourselves. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.